Hi there. This is Andrea from AndreaNordling.com. I'm so glad that you are here watching this amazing video about how to totally transform your year-end planning or your year beginning planning and goal setting with this awesome tool called Trello. So to get started, we need to make sure you have Trello. Follow the link I have linked up for you to get signed up for Trello for free, and then meet me back here. Okay, now it's important for you to get access to this board. Everything that you're looking at on the screen right now is a board. It's something I've already made for you. It's a template that you can also have. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So to open up this board, you're going to click the link that I already gave you. And then you have access to this public board, but I want you to make a copy for yourself so that you can change it around. And the way you do that is to go to Show Menu in the top right-hand corner. Click that. Then you're going to click on More and Copy Board. When you click on Copy Board, you're able to give this board its own title, however you want it to be titled. And I like the name Big Biz Plans and Ideas, but you might want something different. So title it whatever you like and make sure that the Keep Cards option is checked. That will allow you to keep the template that I've created. Then click Create and you are ready to go. But since I already have it, I don't obviously need to copy the board. So before we get started, and I'm going to show you how we hack this awesome free platform, first you need to understand why Trello is so useful for you in your business anyway. That is because it is searchable. So in Trello, you are able to pull up access to all of the things that you've already created based on what you title them or keywords that you used at any point. Now, you can't do that with a paper planner. And as cute as they are, and as much as we have good intentions of using our planners to organize our lives and streamline our businesses, they aren't searchable. And if you don't remember where you wrote something down or you don't have your planner with you, which happens all the time, then you can't access that information and we end up not using it, right? So the thing about Trello is that it is a searchable platform that you have access to on the app, which is free on your phone and on your computer, so you can be totally organized on the go or in your office. Okay, now that's the end of my sales pitch for Trello, which shouldn't be too much of a sales pitch since it's free anyway, but that's why you want to use it. Full disclosure, I have a Trello mini course resource that has video trainings on all of my Trello boards that I use to completely streamline and organize the processes in multiple businesses that I run, as well as my household. And I give all those templates to you, copy paste with the video lessons in my Take Charge with Trello course. So if you like what you see in this free training, know that I give much more information and a lot more strategies in the full course. And you can also find that linked up here in the video. Okay, so let's get started. First, I think I'm going to give you a little anatomy of what you're looking at on this board. Now, the background is a photo that I've chosen that gives a lot of white space and just is easy to work with, but you can change the background to any photo that is inspiring to you or just have a solid color background as well, and you can do that in the menu. But this board, this Big Plans and Ideas board, is made up of different lists, which are this gray boxes are the lists, and then the white cards inside of each list. These cards, when I click on them, are drag and drop and can be manipulated in lots of different ways, which is what I'm about to show you how to do. So inside this board, you have the opportunity to do some business brainstorming and some goal setting. So first I'm going to show you the business brainstorming that I'm talking about. The reason this is really useful is because every business is full of ideas and plans and someday visions that we don't have time to execute right now, but you don't want to forget about them, right? This is where you're going to put all of those amazing ideas. And when I scroll over to the right, you can see that there are several different lists that you can work with here. Now, if you're anything like me, your business and your mind as an entrepreneur is full of great ideas that you don't want to forget about, but you can't execute them today. So this is going to be your brain dump board for all of those awesome ideas, from just random thoughts that you have about things you want to do in the future, visions for where you want your business to go, different social media posts or blog posts or newsletter ideas for the future, great marketing ideas. That's something that just comes to you and you don't want to forget, but of course it's not something that you're going to be working on just today. Or events, retreats, or courses that you want to take in the future. This is where you want to lay all of those thoughts to rest by putting them in a place where you can find them later, which is totally searchable via this handy dandy search bar in the top left corner, and then set it and forget it. You can take so much mental space back in your life by just writing these things down and knowing that you're not going to forget later. Now, we also will use these ideas to bring into our monthly planning and for executing as they become more of a time-sensitive issue. But in the beginning, you just need somewhere to put it. Now, as I go through this board and I show you how I like to use it, just know that you can change any of these lists into an entire board if it makes sense for your business. And if you want to become more organized in a certain way, the sky is the limit. You can change it any way you want to. But I'm just going to show you how I like to use this and how I think it's good to start. First of all, let me show you how you add a card. Now, this gray box, remember, is a list, and then inside of it is the white card. To add a card, obviously you click on the add a card, and then I'm able to type in this box. So let's say a great business brainstorm idea for me in my business is to launch a podcast. That's not something I'm going to do today, but I don't want to forget about it. And I might want to actually give some more detail about what that means. So inside of this card, when I click on it, I have the option to add a lot of details and to make it easy for myself to find this later and stay organized in my thoughts. Now let me show you what I mean. In this description, I could link to something else. Maybe I already have a Google Doc started here and I would link to it there so that I can find that later with 2 clicks instead of having to try to remember what Google folder I have that in, etc. And you can see how that can be applied to all sorts of different platforms where you already store your business information. You can link to it in a card here so it's searchable later. Super helpful. Maybe though, instead of editing the description for this and what launching a podcast means, maybe I just need to know what the steps would be to do that. So first I would need to decide on a name. I would need to generate graphics. Obviously this is out of order. And I would need to promo the podcast, okay? You can see, obviously these aren't the best examples of how you would go about it, but you can see that creating a checklist inside of this, super helpful. Now when I click out of there, I can see this, I can move it, I can, maybe this is a marketing idea, move it over here. Anyway, I can manipulate this all sorts of different ways, but inside of here is my thought process on what I need to do, which I can change, and I can change the order of, delete my items if I need to. So much you can do with these checklists. And again, I go into so much more detail of this in the full course, but I just want to show you how easy it is to organize your processes and organize your ideas so you don't forget them later. All right, but back to goal setting, because that's our primary purpose today, is to figure out how you're going to lay out your big goals for the year into quarterly and monthly sprints so that this stuff actually gets done. This is the exciting part. Now you can see that I have this set up working on quarterly goals and then further out into 3-year and 5-year goals. Those 3-year, 5-year goals are more of a vision than tangible metrics or goals in that way. So I would actually suggest making a separate board for your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year goals and treating it as an actual vision board where you attach a lot of photos and create more of a curated feeling of what you want your lifestyle and your business to be like at that point. Still completely valuable and really important to know where your vision is headed, but not as important in terms of measuring metrics and getting tasks done as it is from a quarterly standpoint, because our brains are not programmed to generate tasks for something 3 years down the road. We work really well in 90-day intervals, and that's why quarterly works really well. So let's get started. For quarter number 1, I suggest breaking it out into months. And how you do that, obviously, is you're going to click on this card, and then you have checklists that I've already populated here for January, February, March. Depending on when you jump into this course, you might be in a different quarter. That's fine. Just jump in wherever it makes sense. You can create a monthly checklist here of exactly what you want to get done, and you can keep it all into one cohesive list. What I do and what I would suggest you think about doing instead, however, is moving these into their own lists. Now, how I do that is to click out of January, and I'm going to add a card here for each month. January, add, February, and March. Now, each of these months is going to have their own list. Now, when I think about January and what I need to get done this month, I am going to just brainstorm everything that I think needs to happen in January to meet my ultimate goals. And I've already determined what my revenue goals are by dividing my yearly revenue goal into 12 months. And I probably have that listed right here, so I don't forget. All right, now within January, I want to break this down. So let me show you what it looks like in my business. I run an online course business and teach nutrition courses online, and I also have a direct sales business. So in my online course business, I do a lot of promoting of my online courses. That means I do webinars. So maybe I'm going to do create a new webinar. Maybe I am going to update my sales page for a product. And in my direct sales business, I am going to sell X volume, for example, and sell, last time I checked, has 2 L's. Okay, so, add. So now I am going to make more specific steps for each of these big goals. And again, I've already worked backwards from my revenue goal. I know what I need to do each month. And then I'm thinking in terms of what big projects are going to get me to that goal. I already know I'm going to be posting on social media. I already know I'm going to be following up with customers and clients and leads. That goes without saying. Those are the things that can eat up your day real quickly if you let it. And then you never have time for these other big things that are going to move your business forward. So just keep in mind, obviously you're going to keep doing those things, but this is making time to schedule those big things that are going to take your business to the next level. So in this example, creating a webinar is going to take my business to the next level. And to do this webinar, there's a few things I need to get done. I need to make webinar slides. I need to make a registration page for that webinar. I need to promote on social media. And I definitely need to execute the webinar on whatever day that's going to be. There are probably a lot more steps, but this is how many we're going to work with for our example. Now, to make this really easy, I want you to label each task. So the way you do that is click label and then create new label. I'm going to call this webinar, and I'm going to keep it this pretty blue color and create. So now this card is tagged as webinar. When I jump out here, you can see we have webinar. Now sales page, same thing. What do I have to do to make my sales page? Okay, I have to create graphics. I have to outline the copy. And then I need to polish it in Teachable, which is where some of my sales pages are. So maybe that is the order of operations for getting my sales page up for my course that I'm going to promote. Cool. That's going to bring my business to the next level. So I definitely need to make time for all of these things. Create a new label. This is going to be yellow. It's called sales page. And I create. So go back. Now we're going to do the same thing for this volume in my direct sales business. And to get to that volume, I'm going to recruit a team member. And I'm going to go host an open house, maybe. Okay. Again, label this in a way that makes sense to you, which is all going to come together in a minute. So this is going to be my direct sales biz. Cool. So now when I'm looking at month 1, which is January at this point, I can see the big overarching tasks that need to happen, but I need to figure out how I'm going to break these up and actually get them done and put them on my calendar. So that's where the fun part happens. I hope you're still with me. I'm about to show you how this all comes together. Now, inside of Create a New Webinar, remember we made a checklist that has a bunch of different tasks on it, and these need to get scheduled. So what I would recommend doing is clicking on each item, then clicking on this little 3 dots in the corner and convert to card. What I'm doing here is I'm taking each item on this checklist and I'm making it into its own card. And that card is going to populate in the list that we're working on. So now when I look here, I have a bunch of new items. Click that, and I'm going to label that webinar because everything we just did is related to this webinar. Oops. Webinar, webinar, and webinar. Now I'm just going to drag everything else underneath there so all the webinar things are together. Cool. Now I am going to do the same for my sales page and my direct sales biz. So bear with me. All right, now we're all organized. Everything is labeled the way it needs to be. Now, do you need to label all these items? No, of course not. But it is really helpful because in the future, when you want to just see items related to a certain category, maybe you just want to check in on what's going on in your direct sales biz for the next few months, you can show menu, filter cards, and you can just filter by a label. So let's see. Webinar or direct sales was our thing. Okay, so now I can just see everything that's related to my direct sales business at a snapshot. Super helpful, as you can imagine, to have everything labeled and to be able to sort it accordingly. I also show in the full course how I use this process to streamline my client management and all of my leads and all of my team members so nothing falls through the cracks. It's super helpful, and I think that you could probably apply this to any business on the planet. It's so easy to use. So now let's put this on the calendar. For the example of a webinar, we need to choose a date. And we're going to be handling this in January. So let's say that we're going to create our new webinar on the 9th. So I clicked due date and I picked the date and time. Now we're going to execute this webinar, say on the 25th. I'm just pulling out dates here. I need to promote it on social media before that. So I'm going to be starting my promotion on the 17th. I like to start promoting a webinar a week in advance. And I need to make this registration page long before I start promoting. So maybe on the 15th, I get that handled. And I made the slides, doing these out of order here, but I made the webinar slides on the 18th to get all ready for our week. Okay, cool. Now to see these on the calendar, which is what we just did by giving them due dates, we will go to Show Menu and Power-Ups. This can be a little bit confusing, but there are a ton of power-up options, and you can choose one for free with the free version of Trello per board. It doesn't have to be the same one on each board. When I scroll down to Calendar and Enable, I now have a calendar option. When I click out of here, I now have Calendar here in the top right. And when I click on Calendar and scroll down to January, you can see all of my cards are on the calendar based on the due date that I gave them. But I have these all out of order, really. So maybe I need to make the slides up here. No problem. You can just drag your things around on the calendar and it'll change the due date inside the card, which is fantastic. So what you want to do to use this is go through all of the small tasks that you are going to need to complete to get these big goals accomplished each month, lay them out with the labels, and then look at this global view on your calendar and see if it looks reasonable. If it doesn't, if there's way too much going on this week and you already know that you're hosting a party on Friday and, for example, this week you're just going to be overloaded, then you can just move things around. And you can take the pressure off that week, or you can spread things or stack them, however it makes sense. But you can see it all kind of from a top-down view, which is really, really helpful. Now to get out of this, click Calendar again. You're going to go back to this page. And now I can set a due date for when I want to have my sales page updated and when I want to polish it up in Teachable. So I guess I need to do that by the end of the month. Now when I go to calendar again, oh, that's funky. Everything is in here so I can see it, but I can see it by the different category that the task is in. And that's why making those color-coded labels was important, because now I can see my sales page stuff separate from my webinar stuff, and I'm not going to get confused about what I was talking about. For example, on the 17th, I won't be confused about what I was talking about promoting on social media. I know that that was in regards to my webinar. I hope that you can see how you could apply this to your business and to breaking out those big goals each month into the small tasks that you need to accomplish to get them done and move on, because these are the things that are going to move your business forward and allow you to reach the revenue goals and the growth that you want to see inside of your business. Now, as you complete these items on your list, you are going to archive them, not delete them. If you archive instead of delete, you can still search it later. So let me show you what I mean. Once I've created my webinar, I can go into that card, and in the bottom right, I can archive it, which means that it's still searchable, but it's not showing up on my boards anywhere. Now, if I did choose to delete it, which is the big red button, I would not be able to search it later. But now, when I click out of this card, it no longer shows up in that list where it was because it's archived. Now, let me emphasize again, I could still go up here to the top left and search for it and bring it back later, but it's not cluttering up my view here. I challenge you to play around with this board and play around with how you can customize it for your business and your goals and your visual style, and then tag me, send me a screenshot, let me know what is working best for you and how you have hacked Trello for your business. I would love to hear more. And if you would love to hear more, again, I do have the full Take Charge with Trello course and would love to see you inside there with all of my templates and systems for rocking your business with Trello.